Chapter 72 Formal Students and Experimental Area, please read. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 72 Formal Students and Experimental Area, seeking follow-up reading. The real location of the White Rose School is located deep in the Tuya forest outside the Jinjiang city. Whether it is a wizard academy or a school, most of them are located deep in the wilderness, forests or mountains. The reason is simple. Wizards need a quiet atmosphere for their practice and research. If the academy is built in a downtown area, the impact will be too great. This place is full of wizard formations laid by the strong in the school, and outsiders can't come here at all. Remember the domain name of this site, Taiwan Novel Network. The same is true for the White Rose School. When Chenmu came here for the first time, he was shocked by the mystery and antiquity here. It is full of magic and historical precipitation. There are many ancient buildings in the school, such as towers, bell towers, libraries and laboratories. Most of these buildings were built by wizards with witchcraft, so the buildings here have peculiar shapes and designs. For example, the student apartment where Chenmu lives now is actually a tilted tower. There are many curved corridors inside. That's right. Chenmu is now a formal student of the school, not an external member. Chenmu himself did not expect it to be so smooth. He thought he might need a year to gain Moben's trust, and then consider the student's matter, but he did not expect that after he agreed to become Moben's apprentice, Moben naturally arranged a student status for him. Even Chenmu himself did not bring up this matter, as Moben has joined the White Rose School for more than 50 years, and is still a bachelor of the school. Moben still has this right. Moben did not care about Chenmu's origin and life experience at all. He gave Chenmu the student status and brought Chenmu to the White Rose School with confidence. You must know that the external members of the school cannot come here. Only the real students of the school can come here. However, it is easy to come, but it is difficult to go out. Chenmu had just joined the school and had a 1-year probation period. He could not leave the school during this time. Of course, it was not bad to stay here all the time. The environment here was very good, and the speed of practicing meditation was not slow. The important thing was that it was safe here. Yes, the headquarters of a wizard school was much safer than Chenmu had imagined. After all, no one was brave enough to provoke a wizard school. How was the book I gave you these days? In a laboratory in the school's experimental area, Moben put down the engraving pen in his hand and asked casually. Chenmu, who was standing behind Moben, said, "Teacher, I am still stuck on the first book, The Basic Structure of Witchcraft. The book you gave me is too profound. It may take a lot of time to fully master the content." Moben nodded unconsciously when he heard this. Accepting Chenmu as an apprentice was just his casual act, which did not mean that he truly recognized Chenmu. If he wanted him to truly recognize Chenmu, he had to see whether Chenmu could benefit from his experiment in the future. Actually, Chenmu concealed something in this statement. He had basically read all the books that Moben gave him. It must be said that if Chenmu did not join a wizard school, he would probably never see such a book with a huge amount of information in his life. Of course, even Chenmu would have to spend some time to thoroughly understand the contents of the book. You should focus on the 3 books: Basic Structure of Witchcraft, Basic Theory of Witchcraft, and Inscription of Witchcraft. If you have mastered them all, I can teach you some simple experiments. Moben said. Chenmu nodded when he heard this. Structure, Theory, and Inscription are the thickest of the books that Moben gave him, and they also contain the most knowledge. Chenmu's current focus is the same as what Moben said, and it is indeed placed on these 3 books. By the way, your spiritual C should be able to engrave 6 zero-ring witchcrafts. How many have you engraved now? 4 have been engraved so far. 4. Moben nodded, and did not ask Chenmu which specific witchcrafts he engraved. This involves a wizard secret, so even if Moben is stronger than Chenmu, he will not ask. Don't engrave the next 2 witchcrafts casually. If you can formally participate in the experiment, I will teach you 2 witchcrafts. Seeing that Chenmu was a little hesitant, Moben smiled and said, "Don't worry, everyone in the entire school, including the 2 wizards, the master and the deputy master, do not have as many zero-ring witchcrafts as I do." Moben said this sentence with great confidence, so Chenmu nodded solemnly. The hesitation just now was naturally pretended by him. After all, anyone who is suddenly told, don't worry about your witchcraft, I will arrange it for you, will have some emotions to a greater or lesser extent. It would be abnormal if Chenmu acted very indifferent. Chenmu knew that Moben was the kaleidoscope of witchcraft in the school. In terms of his attainments in studying witchcraft, no one in the school could compare to him. Of course, this is also time-limited. I will only give you half a year. If you still cannot master the knowledge of these 3 books within half a year, then you have no chance of learning the witchcraft I prepared for you. I understand, teacher. Well, you go back first. I will introduce you to your senior brother when he comes back the next day. Okay, teacher. After saying goodbye to Moben, Chenmu left the small laboratory. This is the experimental area of the school. In addition to Moben's laboratory, there are countless laboratories of various sizes. Walking on the road, Chenmu naturally saw many other wizard apprentices in the school. These wizard apprentices have their own things, so they naturally won't stop for a stranger. Some people may keep their eyes on Chenmu's body for a moment, but after noticing Chenmu's eyes moving over, they nodded and left. Bang! Just as Chenmu was about to walk out of the experimental area, a loud noise made him instinctively move his eyes back. Teacher Tyro's potion experiment failed again. This is the 3rd time this month. What can I do? Go clean up the laboratory. Chenmu, who was standing at the corner, heard 2 voices, and just turned his head and was gently bumped, when you was full of warmth, and a girl with light blue hair bumped into Chenmu's arms. Sorry, I left in a hurry. The girl quickly broke free from the embrace and apologized. It's okay, what about the loud noise just now? Chenmu shook his head to indicate that it was okay, and asked curiously. Oh, that was Teacher Tyro doing a potion experiment. If it failed, it exploded. It has failed several times this month. The blue-haired girl looked up at Chenmu and found him quite handsome. The tone was a little awkward. Her teacher had been complained several times this month because the sudden explosion affected other people's experiments. The experimental environment must be kept quiet. Who can stand the loud noise for no reason? P.S. Thank you for the monthly ticket of Duzwalengjiu, Yenwei Gidyao, a member of the old days, and the book friend 202101129 Mua. Some people say that there are few updates, and the new book period is like this. If it can be 500 average after it is put on the shelves, I will finish it by 10,000 a day. Chapter 73 Analysis and the Seal of Life, please read on. You are listening at NovelFold.audio. Chapter 73 Analysis and Seal of Life, seeking to read. Time passed, and it was already 2 months later. Chenmu's birthday passed quietly, and Chenmu was already 19 years old at this time. In the student apartment of the school, Chenmu gently rubbed his eyebrows. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. In 2 months. He was no longer unfamiliar with this long-standing wizard school. His teacher Moben and senior brother Hull were both good to him, and there were no unprovoked provocations in these 2 months. In general, after joining the White Rose School, Chenmu has also gained a little foothold in this wizard continent. However, he didn't know when he could go back to the secondary continent where he lived for more than a year after crossing. Maybe a first-level wizard. Maybe a second-level wizard. At least Chenmu didn't know at this time. Chenmu somewhat understood why those sons who simulated him in the past never came back after being sent to the wizard continent. Perhaps it was really out of his control. Feelings came and went quickly, and Chenmu was not in a good mood at this time. The reason was also very simple, that is, he found that since he became a second-level wizard apprentice, the speed of meditation had slowed down again, just like the official night to the Great Night. At that time, after 2 simulations, Chenmu chose to retain the realm, but the improvement was extremely weak, not to mention the 3rd-level wizard apprentice. Even the top of the 2nd-level wizard apprentice has not been touched. Now he can only engrave 6-0-ring witchcraft in his spiritual sea. It is indeed extremely difficult for a 5th-level talent to take the path of a wizard. Of course, it is also related to his 2 simulations. In both simulations, he did not live long. One died in the school war a few years later, and the other died more than 30 years later. Of course, the talents of wizards and knights are not the same. If the knight's talent is like a natural moat that separates you, leaving you no chance, then the wizard's qualification is different. It is like leaving you a boat on the sea. The first-class wizard's qualification is naturally sailing on a huge ship in the sea, while the fifth-class wizard's qualification is only a very dilapidated small boat. This small boat may be destroyed by wind and waves at any time. It is undoubtedly extremely difficult to cross the boundless sea with only this small boat, but it is not without a trace of chance, theoretically. If this small boat has an invincible golden body and ignores the wind and waves, then even a dilapidated small boat has a chance to cross the sea. In reality, if a person with the fifth-class wizard's qualification has an infinite lifespan, then he can become a formal wizard even if he practices slowly. The simulator that Chenmu has is actually equivalent to an alternative infinite lifespan, as long as he does not die in reality. Then countless simulations can be piled up to become a real wizard. In a lecture room in the school tower, Chenmu sat at the back of the classroom, with several books in front of him. Some of the people sitting around him looked at least a dozen years younger than Chenmu. He sat among these people, and it was out of place no matter how you looked at him, but Chenmu's face was very calm. Maybe he was a little embarrassed at the beginning, but 2 months had passed, and Chenmu had already adapted to the daily classes in the school. Because he joined the school halfway and was a wild wizard apprentice, he had to attend classes inevitably, and the students in his group were all 5 or 6 years old. When Chenmu just came as a transfer student, these students were naturally very curious about him. However, after 2 months, these students also adapted to having a big brother who was a dozen years older than them and taking classes with them. Suddenly, the noisy classroom became quiet. The reason was naturally that the bachelor in charge of teaching walked into the classroom. The bachelors in charge of teaching students were all bachelors of the school, and Chenmu was not unfamiliar with the bachelor in charge of Chenmu's group of students. It was the same Ms. Lays who had appeared in his simulation. Ms. Lays walked into the classroom, looked around first, and then started teaching without any extra words. Chenmu listened very seriously. His cultivation as a second-level wizard apprentice was directly instilled in him by the simulator, so he didn't know even the very basic wizard knowledge very well. However, in the past 2 months, Chenmu had completed his homework seriously and traveled between the library and the apartment, which allowed him to catch up on a lot of wizard knowledge. Chenmu was like a sponge, absorbing the nutrients of knowledge crazily. Of course, if there were things he didn't understand very well, he would ask Moben or Ms. Lays. After a while, Ms. Lays still admired him very much. The 1-hour class ended quickly, and Chenmu packed up the books in front of him and left the classroom. In the White Rose School, students only have 1 hour of class time every day. This doesn't mean that the school doesn't value these students, but 1 hour is enough. Moreover, in the school, the time of the bachelor is much more precious than that of the students. After leaving the classroom, Chenmu went back to his apartment first, and then went straight to the experimental area. In 2 months, he had almost mastered the 3 books. Compared to the 6 months Moben gave him, Chenmu pushed this time forward by 4 months. And after Moben's test, today he can officially take over some simple experiments. Compared to this, Chenmu is more concerned about what the 2 witchcrafts Moben prepared for him are. After all, in the simulation, the simulator only mentioned that Moben taught him 2 witchcrafts. As for what these 2 wizards are, Chenmu is still unclear at this time. Teacher, I'm here. Coming to the laboratory, looking at Moben sitting in the laboratory flipping through books, Chenmu spoke softly. Moben closed the book in his hand, then looked at Chenmu and nodded with satisfaction. Mastering the knowledge of 3 books in 2 months, it must be said that Chenmu gave him a little surprise. Among the books he prepared for Chenmu, Chenmu mastered the most knowledge in the 3 books. If it is a person with poor comprehension, it may take 1 or 2 years to master it, and Chenmu only took 2 months, which is enough to show that Chenmu still has some talent in witchcraft research. Here, I prepared these 2 witchcrafts for you. See if they overlap with the witchcrafts you have mastered. If they overlap, I have spare ones here. Moben said, and then handed the 2 witchcraft books to Chenmu. Chenmu reached out to take them, and then looked at the 2 books in his hand. 0 Ring Witchcraft Analysis. 0 Ring Witchcraft Seal of Life. 2 Real Core 0 Ring Witchcrafts. This is the witchcraft that Moben prepared for Chenmu. P.S. Thank you Duen Minxiang for the 100 points reward. Thank you Chinese Farmers, 77, I miss you and can't keep you, Book Friends 20170222, Book Friends 202103321 for the monthly tickets. Please follow up. Chapter 74 Half a Year and the Witchcraft Plate, please read on. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 74 Half a Year and Witchcraft Disc, please read on. Chenmu opened the two witchcraft books in front of him. Neither of these two witchcrafts is a zero-ring witchcraft of the attack type, and is also very different from general auxiliary witchcraft. If you have to say, some are similar to witchcrafts that are specially created for experiments. Among them, the analysis technique can analyze the structure of things. This witchcraft actually overlaps with Chenmu's spiritual eye, but it is different. The spiritual eye can only allow Chenmu to see the internal structure of a thing, but it cannot let him see the essence of a thing. At most, there is a solution, but no analysis, and the analysis technique is different. The zero-ring analysis technique can allow Chenmu to directly see through the simple essence of some things. For example, if Chenmu masters the analysis technique for a witchcraft book, he can directly analyze this witchcraft book. The material of the book and the mysterious symbols engraved on it for practicing witchcraft can all be analyzed. Compared with the Eye of Spirit, this witchcraft is a bit simple, because it can only analyze one object at a time. You should know that the Eye of Spirit can cover a large area, and there is another disadvantage of the analysis, that is, it can only analyze dead objects, not living objects. The Eye of Spirit is different. Whether it is a living object or a dead object, the internal structure can be seen through the Eye of Spirit. Of course, it is enough for zero-ring witchcraft to achieve this. What else do you need? The Seal of Life witchcraft is a means of using mental power to engrave the mark of life on an object. Many wizard apprentices who are good at casting magic tools have mastered this zero-ring witchcraft. This witchcraft is also a relatively common core zero-ring witchcraft. The effect of witchcraft is also very simple. That is, to engrave the mark of life on an object, and the effect of the mark of life is somewhat similar to a carrier. For example, on an ordinary object, after engraving the seal of life, you can engrave witchcraft, and then an object will become a magic tool. This witchcraft is a necessary zero-ring witchcraft for making puppets and magic tools. The analysis technique plus the seal of life. These two witchcrafts show that Chenmu's teacher Moben seems to intend for him to follow the path of a magic weapon master. It takes a lot of time to engrave these two zero-ring witchcrafts in the spiritual sea. You should focus on engraving the analysis technique first. It may take a few years for both to be completely engraved in the spiritual sea. Looking at Chenmu in front of him, Moben said, choosing two core zero-ring witchcrafts for Chenmu actually means that he has recognized Chenmu. Of course, in his opinion, Chenmu can no longer make progress on the path of wizards. With the 5th level qualifications, he may only be a 2nd level wizard apprentice for his whole life, so turning to witchcraft and experimental research is better. Okay, teacher. Hearing the importance in Moben's tone, Chenmu nodded. After 2 months of getting along, plus the verification in 2 simulations, Chenmu has understood that the white-bearded Moben in front of him really has no ill will towards him. You have almost finished your homework in the past 2 months, right? You can help me in the next period of time. I will arrange small experiments for you if there are any. Looking at Chenmu, who nodded without hesitation, Moben spoke. He thought Chenmu was qualified to be his assistant. His other apprentice, or disciple, was busy with the tasks of the school every day, so he rarely had time to participate in experiments with him. So it was not bad to have Chenmu as his assistant. At least it could make his old bones feel a little more relaxed. Of course, the most important thing is that the time he saved every day can be used to practice meditation. He, Moben, is not inferior to others, and becoming a formal wizard is what he pursues. Time flies, the years pass by, and the wheel of time rolls forward. In the blink of an eye, more than half a year has passed. White Rose School Experimental Area, Moben Laboratory, Zero-Ring Witchcraft Analysis. A ray of blue light flashed in Chenmu's eyes. The symbols on the cloth placed in front of him seemed to come alive and appeared in front of Chenmu. Chenmu took the engraving pen beside him and engraved these mysterious symbols on the metal disc prepared in advance. The last engraving was completed, and the mysterious symbol disappeared on the surface of the disc. Chenmu picked up the disc and looked at it carefully, and nodded with satisfaction. After a month, I finally succeeded once. Chen Mu put the disc aside again and took a pen to record. 32nd day, engraving was successful, no special reaction. T12 witchcraft disc engraving was completed, and the experiment was successful. After the record was completed, Chen Mu closed the small book and exhaled a breath of turbid air. This was his first successful witchcraft disc, and more than a month of research finally paid off. Seeing Chen Mu stop his work, Moben, who was sitting beside him with his legs crossed and reading a book, put down the book and turned his eyes to Chen Mu. Success. Well, it was engraved 46 times in total, and it finally succeeded. Chen Mu nodded, picked up the witchcraft disc and walked towards Moben, then handed it over. Teacher, take a look. Moben took it and looked at it carefully in his hand. The next moment, Moben's mental power surged, and a spark emerged from the witchcraft disc, and then turned into a fireball and flew away. Seeing this scene, Moben waved his hand casually, and the fireball was dispersed by him again. Not bad, the engraved witchcraft symbols are still too rough, and the witchcraft disc takes 2 seconds to start. It can only be said to be a defective product. But you can achieve this on your first successful engraving. Your talent in witchcraft is definitely the most talented one I have ever seen. It's just a pity, alas. Moben threw the abandoned witchcraft disc aside and said with some emotion, Chen Mu is definitely the one with the best witchcraft talent he has ever seen. He can engrave a core 0-ring witchcraft in the spiritual sea in 3 months, he can successfully engrave a finished witchcraft disc in 1 month. This kind of talent is definitely in the ranks of geniuses in his opinion, but the wizard's qualifications are too low. If the wizard's qualifications are higher, it would not be a difficult thing to become a formal wizard. Sure enough, God is fair and will not concentrate all talents on one person. During this period, your focus still needs to be on engraving the witchcraft disc. After you master the seal of life, you can do some big experiments with me. Okay, teacher. Hearing this, Chen Mu nodded and said. Half a year later, Chen Mu looked more calm. However, what Moben didn't know was that Chen Mu had actually completed the engraving of the seal of life a month ago. It was just that Chen Mu felt that this speed was too abnormal, so he concealed it for the time being. Engraving a core 0-ring witchcraft in 3 months can be described as genius, but if 2 were engraved, it would be beyond the scope of cognition. It is normal to be beyond the scope of cognition. After all, the simulator is something beyond the scope of cognition. Please read. Chapter 75, The Surge in Mental Power and the Achievement of Magic. Please read on. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 75, Surge of Mental Power and Achievement of Magic. Please read. The witchcraft disc is actually a disposable magic weapon. The witchcraft symbols of witchcraft are engraved on the pyroxene disc, and after the engraving is successful, it becomes a witchcraft disc. The finished witchcraft disc can activate the witchcraft engraved in it once. This effect sounds familiar, and I always feel that I have heard of something similar somewhere. Chen Mu had the same feeling when he first heard Moben explain this thing to him. Isn't this the talisman in the immortal cultivation novels of the previous life? Engraving the witchcraft disc can also be described as drawing talismans, and the pyroxene disc can also be regarded as talisman paper. It was only when Chen Mu really started to study engraving that he realized how difficult it was. For more than a month, Chen Mu's time in the laboratory to engrave the witchcraft disc occupied most of his time every day. But it took a full 32 days to barely engrave the simplest witchcraft disc, and it was still a defective product. You should know that a more complex witchcraft disc may even need to engrave hundreds of witchcraft symbols on a pyroxene disc, and the fireball disc that Chen Mu engraved only needed to be engraved with 3 witchcraft symbols. Even so, it took Chen Mu more than a month. Even so, he was still called a genius with extremely high talent by Moben. Compared with ordinary people, Chen Mu is indeed a genius. But if compared with a truly gifted person, it is asking for abuse. For example, Chen Mu asked his teacher Moben how long it took to successfully engrave the first witchcraft disc. Moben just said lightly, 2 days. However, Moben did not care too much about the witchcraft disc. In his opinion, it was just a small path and a transition. After leaving the experimental area, Chen Mu returned to the student apartment. For 7 months, he had been living in the school, which made him very familiar with the school. It must be said that staying in the school all the time was still a bit boring. However, this kind of boredom is not a big deal for Chenmu. The simulation once a month allows him to steadily improve. As his own strength gradually becomes stronger, he will naturally not feel bored. With a thought, the familiar attribute panel appeared in front of Chenmu. Name, Chenmu. Spirit, 6.2. Constitution, 6.9. Night Realm, Great Knight. Wizard Realm, Second Level Wizard Apprentice. Breathing Method, Golden Lion Breathing Method, Perfect. Meditation Method, Black Tower Meditation Method, Mastery 240/1600. Night Skills, Lion Heart. Perfect, Armor / Perfect, Star Rocket, Perfect, Double Blade / Perfect. Witchcraft, Eye of the Spirit, 0 ring, Fireworks, 0 ring, Healing, 0 ring, Spirit Light Curtain, 0 ring, Analysis, 0 ring, Seal of Life, 0 ring. Number of simulations, 1. In half a year, he went through 5 simulations, 4 times to retain the realm, 1 time to retain the spell. These 5 simulations have made Chenmu improve a lot. The mental power has increased from 5.1 to 6.2, an increase of 1.1, it seems not much, but it is not. At this time, Chenmu is almost touching the top of the second-level wizard apprentice. As long as he simulates again, Chenmu is confident that he can expand his spiritual sea again and reach the level of the third-level wizard apprentice. The second-level wizard apprentice can engrave 8 0-ring witchcraft in the spiritual sea at most, and Chenmu's spiritual sea can already engrave 8 at this time. It's just that he can barely engrave 8 0-ring witchcraft. In other words, as long as he goes one step further, he can reach the peak of the second-level wizard apprentice and can peek at the scenery of the third-level wizard apprentice. Under the wizard, the gap between the second-level wizard apprentice and the third-level wizard apprentice is the largest. It is even larger than the gap from 0 to the second-level wizard apprentice. You know, the third-level wizard apprentice can be called a little wizard. Even in the entire wizard continent, third-level wizard apprentices are not weak. In general, the number of third-level wizard apprentices in a wizard academy or school is not particularly large, as far as Chenmu knows. About the White Rose School, there are less than 10 third-level wizard apprentices in total. Chenmu is confident that he can truly reach that realm before he turns 20. At this time, he still has 5 months to go before he turns 20, plus this simulation he has left. There are a total of 6 simulations. If he practices meditation in 6 simulations, how many years can he practice in total? At least hundreds of years. In hundreds of years, Chenmu does not believe that he cannot cross from a second-level wizard apprentice to a third level. Of course, the 5 simulations in the past 6 months have brought Chenmu not only a surge in mental power, but also the achievement of magic. The 2 core 0-ring witchcrafts that Moben gave him have been engraved in Chenmu's spiritual sea. Now there are 6 0-ring witchcrafts engraved in his spiritual sea. Among them, there is a spiritual eye with unlimited potential, and the remaining 5 have 4 core-level 0-ring witchcraft. This is very exaggerated. Some third-level wizard apprentices may not have as many core 0-ring witchcraft engraved in their spiritual sea as Chenmu. After all, compared to witchcraft, one's own practice is more important. Spending a lot of time to engrave core 0-ring witchcraft in the spiritual sea is generally something that people with no potential will do. Of course, there is another kind of person who will choose to engrave a large number of core 0-ring witchcraft in the spiritual sea. That is a person with great potential. This kind of person has unimaginable self-confidence, confident that even if he spends a lot of time to engrave the core 0-ring witchcraft in the spiritual sea, he can still become a formal wizard. Chenmu's teacher Moben is such a person. Before, Chenmu thought that Moben was putting the cart before the horse. It was not until Moben really became a wizard in the last simulation that Chenmu knew how talented his teacher was. Putting away his messy thoughts, Chenmu hid the light blue light curtain in front of him. He did not start the simulation now. One simulation could not make him a third-level wizard apprentice directly, so Chenmu's plan is to accumulate several simulation times and use them together. The next simulation is when he will truly become a third-level wizard apprentice. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Chenmu entered a state of emptiness and began to practice meditation. The speed of practicing meditation in reality is indeed very slow. But Shenmue will not stop practicing meditation because of the small improvement in reality. Since he mastered the meditation method, Shenmue would take some time to practice meditation even if he had a lot of things to do every day. Shenmue has developed a habit of this kind of daily meditation. It has been nearly a year since he came to the Wizard Continent and 7 months since he joined the White Rose School. Now Shenmue has gradually adapted to everything here. Now he has only one goal. That is to become a real wizard. Please read more. Chapter 76 Secret Realm, please read on. You are listening at NovelFold.audio. Chapter 76 Secret Realm, seeking for further reading, White Rose School, Experimental Area. Inside Moben Laboratory, Shenmue stacked the witchcraft discs that had been engraved in the past few days together, then took out a pen and started recording in the notebook. 3 days. The engraving was successful, there was no special reaction, the inscription on the T11 witchcraft disc was completed, and the experiment was successful. 7th day, the engraving was successful, there was no special reaction, the inscription on the T10 witchcraft disc was completed, and the experiment was successful. After completing the first inscription, Shenmue found it easier to inscribe the subsequent T11 and T10 witchcraft discs. It only took 3 days and 7 days respectively, which is considered very fast. After closing the notebook and putting it aside, Shenmue stood up and left the laboratory. Moben is not here these days, and Shenmue doesn't come to the laboratory for long every day. Naturally, the bachelors of the school will not stay in the school all the time. They also have their own affairs. Although Shenmue didn't know where Moben went when he left, it probably didn't have much to do with him. After leaving the experimental area, Shenmue did not choose to go back to the student apartment, but went to the school's library. Entering the library, Shenmue casually took a book and found a place to sit down. After a while, a middle-aged man came over and sat opposite Shenmue. He didn't hold a book in his hand. After sitting down, he said directly, "I'm afraid it won't work in the secret realm. Your time to join the school is still too short." Hearing this, Shenmue raised his head and glanced at Thor. Shenmue said, "How many places does the school have to enter the secret realm this year?" Thor did not hesitate and said directly, 10, each bachelor can recommend one person to enter the secret realm. At this point, Thor's tone paused, and then he spoke again, "Will Moben leave the quota to you?" Shenmue didn't reply, just shook his head. There is a low chance that he will enter the secret realm this year. There is a high probability that Moben will give this opportunity to his senior brother instead of him. You don't have to be disappointed. After all, you have only joined the school for less than a year. You will definitely have the opportunity to enter the secret realm next year. Thor saw Shenmue shaking his head and comforted him. As the person who recruited Shenmue to enter the academy, Thor can be said to be the person with whom Shenmue has a better relationship in the school. Shenmue also asked him to inquire about the secret realm this time, but Shenmue, who had gone through several simulations, knew that the number of places in the secret realm this time was not 10, but 11. That shows that he doesn't have any chance. Originally, Shenmue had no plans to get involved in the trip to the secret realm this year. Of course, if possible, the sooner the better. A large part of the reason why Shenmue joined the White Rose School was because of this secret realm. If this secret realm was just an ordinary secret realm, then Shenmue would naturally not be interested. After all, in the simulation, he can enter the secret realm at any time without taking risks in reality. But the problem is that there is something in this secret realm that he must get in reality. It can be said that it is useless for him to get this thing in the simulation. After all, the simulator can retain the realm and magic, but it cannot retain the real thing. But it is different in reality. In reality, if he can obtain that thing, it will be the foundation for enlightenment. I know, Thor, thank you for the news. It's okay, but I advise you not to have high expectations for the school's secret realm. I've been there before, and there's nothing special about it. Thor spoke. There was also a hint of indifference to this secret realm in his tone. This was not what Thor said deliberately to comfort Shenmue, but it was indeed the case. He entered the secret realm more than 10 years ago. At that time, he was also full of hope, looking forward to whether there would be a chance to come, but that trip to the secret realm can only be described as disappointing. If you think about it, you will know how big a secret realm a small school can have. It is said to be a secret realm, but it is actually just a space fragment. Moreover, hundreds of people have entered the secret realm of the White Rose School for more than 100 years, so if they had the chance, they would have been taken away by others long ago. People who enter the secret realm now do it for the faster meditation speed than in reality. Hearing Thor's words, Chenmu nodded without showing anything unusual. Seeing Chenmu pick up the book and read it again, Thor shook his head and said goodbye to Chenmu and left the library. If Chenmu hadn't been here, Thor might not have come to the library for several years. Chenmu, who was holding a book in his hand, was not thinking about the book, but planning his famous trip to the secret realm. Although there is one more place to enter the secret realm this time than usual, Chenmu knows that this extra place has actually been reserved. If he really wants to enter the secret realm this year, he still has to rely on Moben, but his senior brother has already entered the secret realm once. He knows the benefits of the secret realm and will most likely not give up this opportunity, and after all, it has only been less than a year since Chenmu joined the school. To be precise, he is still within the inspection period. It can only be said that it is extremely difficult to go to the secret realm this year. Alas! Chenmu sighed and cleared the messy thoughts in his mind. Since there is little hope, let it be, there is still a long time to go. If it doesn't work this year, it will work next year. Chenmu was afraid that some of his actions in reality would cause a butterfly reaction, causing the foundation of enlightenment he had obtained to fly away. After all, he is a text simulation, and we only know his general behavior in the simulation, and some details cannot be fully taken care of. And the differences in these subtle places are likely to turn into a butterfly flapping its wings. When the simulator is upgraded, let me simulate it in person. If there is a disadvantage to text simulation, this may be it. The simulation with a simple string of text descriptions makes Chenmu unable to make accurate judgments on the details, and sometimes it is precisely this kind of error in judgment in subtle places that may eventually lead to big mistakes. When in the secondary continent, this disadvantage was not very obvious. But after coming to the wizard continent, this small detail is somewhat fatal, because there are too many strong people. On the wizard continent, sometimes it is very likely that one step is wrong and the abyss is in front of you. Of course, this is just a sigh. After all, just text simulation is already very abnormal. At least Chenmu is still very satisfied at this time. The details can be tried and tested again and again. After all, Chenmu has no shortage of simulation opportunities. Compared with Chenmu's lifespan of hundreds of years as a second-level wizard apprentice, simulation once a month is already a lot. In just 1 year, he went from a 5th-class wizard to a 2nd-class wizard apprentice, and even to a 3rd-class wizard apprentice soon. What else could Chenmu be dissatisfied with? Putting away his thoughts, Chenmu closed the book in front of him and put it back on the library shelf. Greed is insatiable. Chenmu, who had completely calmed down, understood that what he had to do now was to survive. When he really survived to become a 3rd-class wizard apprentice, he could be considered to have truly established a foothold here. Please read. Chapter 77, Absent-mindedness and my desire to give it a try. Please read on. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 77, Absent-minded, and I want to try. Please read more. What's wrong with you? Why are you absent-minded? Moben frowned and glanced at the disciple behind him, and said unhappily, "Sorry, teacher." Chenmu apologized quickly. Seeing this, Moben also stopped what he was doing. Today was the first time Chenmu did some small experiments with him, but he found that Chenmu seemed a little absent-minded. Is it because of the secret realm? Moben stopped what he was doing and said, looking at Chenmu while speaking, "Ah, how did you know, teacher?" Chenmu looked like his little tricks were exposed. Of course, he pretended, and the purpose was very simple. Sure enough, the next moment, Moben spoke again. "I already know from Thor that you have been asking about the secret realm recently. Do you want to go to the secret realm this year?" Chenmu deliberately asked Thor to help him find out about the secret realm and his absent-minded performance now. In fact, the ultimate purpose is to test Moben's attitude. After all, Chenmu already knew the details of the secret realm in the simulation, so there was no need to ask Thor for advice. His purpose was to let Moben take the initiative to tell him about the secret realm. After all, if he took the initiative to mention this to Moben, it would seem too deliberate. "Can you tell me why you want to go to the secret realm? To be honest, it's not very useful to you, and there's nothing special about the secret realm." Moben spoke very directly. he didn't want his disciples to be brainwashed by rumors. As a bachelor of the school, he knew exactly what the secret realm was. It's not as weird as others say, so his attitude towards this secret realm is just 2 words, that is, disdain. Sorry, teacher, I was a little absent-minded just now. Teacher, I'm not willing to be just a second-level wizard apprentice. I heard that the secret realm can speed up the speed of meditation practice. I want to try it, Chenmu said firmly, and there was desire and unwillingness in his tone while speaking. Of course, this is also pretending, and even these words are lies. He wanted to go to the secret realm not for the meditation speed that was not great for him. Now Chenmu didn't say a word of truth, however, looking at Chenmu in front of him, Moben believed Chenmu's words. This desire to become stronger is something that everyone has. It is impossible for a person to not want to walk on this road after becoming a wizard apprentice. Everyone wants to make himself stronger. This desire to become stronger is endless. When you become stronger, you want to be stronger, and when you become stronger, you want to be stronger. Moben believes that his disciples are no exception. Although his disciples were forcibly promoted to the second-level wizard apprentice by a wizard, it is normal to want to go further, and now it is obvious that his disciples have placed this hope in the secret realm of the school, but the problem is that the 5th level qualification is really too low. If Chenmu had the 4th level qualification, Moben would not let Chenmu give up the exploration of the wizard's road, but with the 5th level qualification, it is extremely unlikely to go further than the 2nd level wizard apprentice, unless there is a wizard to help. Even an ordinary 1st level wizard can't do it. It must be a 2nd level wizard. What a 2nd level wizard can do. An ordinary small secret realm is useless, but Moben understood that his disciples seemed to have fallen into an obsession. If he didn't let him try it himself, he might always be absent-minded. This attitude of not turning back until he hits the south wall made Moben a little helpless. Of course, what Moben didn't know was that his worry was completely unnecessary, and even Chenmu's sonorous "I want to try" was a lie. You want to become stronger. It's good, but I want to tell you that the effect of the secret realm is definitely not as good as you think. Moben said. While speaking, Moben looked at Chenmu. His tone was very serious, without a hint of joking. Hearing this, Chenmu sighed in his heart. He knew that he might have no chance this time. He was about to nod, but Moben spoke again. I can let you try this time, but I hope that after the trip to the secret realm, you will devote yourself to the experiment. Chenmu was stunned and happy in his heart. Did it really work? Chenmu had planned to do it next time, but he didn't expect that Moben would decide to let him give it a try in this moment. In fact, Moben made this decision after some consideration. Chenmu's posture was clearly brainwashed by the secret realm, and he only thought about how much improvement he could get by going to the secret realm, but he didn't think about it. If the secret realm really has such a magical effect, why are there only 10 third-level wizard apprentices in the school after hundreds of years? So he decided to let his disciple go and hit the wall in person, even though he knew that Chenmu would definitely not improve at all in this trip to the secret realm. Thank you, teacher, I will not disappoint you, but what about my senior brother? Chenmu spoke immediately, with a hint of joy in his tone that could not be concealed. The emotions were very real, at least Moben thought so. Forget it. Just don't be too disappointed this time. As for your senior brother, I'll tell him that he's actually not that interested in the secret realm. He's focused on the school's mission. I'm sure he's quite happy that he doesn't have to go to the secret realm. Looking at Chenmu, who had regained his spirits in an instant, Moben waved his hands helplessly. I hope you can still be so energetic when you come out of the secret realm. Moben didn't know whether it was right or wrong for him to agree to let his disciple go to the secret realm this time. He knew that if Chenmu went to the secret realm this time and found that the effect of the secret realm was not as good as he imagined, and then failed to withstand the blow, he might really be devastated. The next moment, Moben turned his head again and looked at the experimental table. Since Chenmu was refreshed, the experiment could continue. Moben's hands kept moving, and he continued to start the superposition experiment of witchcraft symbols. While Chenmu was responsible for recording on the side, Moben used a small engraving pen to engrave witchcraft symbols on the pyroxene. After engraving one, he continued to superimpose the engraving on this witchcraft symbol. However, when the third symbol was engraved, the pyroxene exploded into powder. Record. Okay, teacher, I have recorded it. picked up another pyroxene, and this time it still exploded when the third symbol was engraved. Record. Teacher, I've recorded it. Time passed, and the speed of time passing in the laboratory felt a little faster than outside. Moben picked up the 42nd pyroxene, and his hands were still moving, but the difference is that this time he successfully superimposed and engraved the third witchcraft symbol on this pyroxene. The 3 witchcraft symbols were superimposed and engraved on this pyroxene, shining brightly. Record. Okay teacher, I've recorded it. P.S. Thank you Hauhan Kenkiangfai, book friend 202000303 for the monthly ticket Muad. Please read. Chapter 78 Magical Weapon Learning and Asking the Right Person, please read. You are listening at NovelFold.audio. Chapter 78 Magic Weapon Science and Asking the Right Person, please follow up. Chenmu was writing down notes in a small book on the side. Superposition experiment of witchcraft symbols, 42 times, 3 witchcraft symbols were successfully superimposed. The pyroxene did not produce any abnormal reaction, and the superposition effect is unknown. Seeing Chenmu stop writing, Moben did not continue to superimpose new witchcraft symbols on the pyroxene, but put it aside. The raw pyroxene or can only withstand the superposition of 3 witchcraft symbols at most. If there are more, a finished pyroxene plate will be needed. As for why we don't directly use pyroxene discs for experiments, the reason is simple. Pyroxene discs are more expensive than pyroxene. Putting the pyroxene aside, Moben picked up a pyroxene plate, and then repeated the steps just now to superimpose 3 witchcraft symbols. After the superposition was completed, Moben activated his mental power, and the pyroxene disc flashed, turning into a large fireball that quickly flew into the distance, and finally exploded. Fortunately, the location where the fireball flew was the testing area of the laboratory, so it did not cause any turmoil. Record. Good teacher, 42, the 3 witchcraft symbols are superimposed successfully, with no special reaction. The characteristics are flame, speed, and explosion. The power is lower than that of a third-level wizard apprentice. After the experiment, Chenmu handed the notebook in his hand to Moben. Teacher, please take a look. Moben took it and looked through it, then nodded. Teacher, normally if it has such power, at least 9 witchcraft symbols need to be engraved on the witchcraft disc. Chenmu looked at Moben, who was flipping through the small book, and spoke curiously. Moben nodded. Well, the power of the superimposed witchcraft disc is several times greater than the ordinary engraved witchcraft disc, and the characteristics are richer and the activation time is shorter. Having said this, he shook his head again. It's just that the difficulty of engraving is also greater. Even if there is a slight mistake in the details, even if I have several auxiliary witchcraft, the success rate is not high. Of course, compared to real magic weapons, these can only be regarded as child's play. Magic weapon. It has been almost a year since I came to the school, and Chenmu has learned a lot. In the past, he thought that any wizard could make magic weapons. Now I realize how naive this idea is. It is extremely difficult to create any magic weapon, even the lowest one. A wizard who can create magic weapons can also be called a magic weapon master. The magic weapon master has a relatively high status among wizards. The same goes for wizards who can mix potions. Magic weapons and potions are undoubtedly important to a wizard. Chenmu was really lucky to be able to obtain a first-level magic weapon like the space key. Are you interested in magic weapons? Hearing Chenmu talking to himself, Moben spoke with a smile on his face. Chenmu nodded and said he was lying if he said he was not interested. Everyone should be interested in making magical artifacts with his own hands. At least Chenmu himself is quite interested in making magic weapons. Then you need to work hard. You are still far away from making a magic weapon. Even simply engraving mysterious symbols on the magic weapon is something you can't do. Chenmu knew that Moben's words were not meant to attack him, but that it was indeed the case. Now even if there was a device embryo placed in front of him, he would not be able to start, because apart from some superficial knowledge, he still knows nothing about how to create magic weapons. Teacher, have you ever successfully created a magic weapon? You finally asked the right person. Upon hearing this, Moben's eyes lit up and he started talking. Of course, my most satisfying work is the black stone wand I made 4 years ago. Now this wand is in the hands of a real wizard. Chenmu nodded in agreement. This was the first time he had seen Moben like this. In the past, Moben had been relatively calm, but now Moben seems to have been poked in the G-spot by him, and he keeps talking. Chenmu was more interested in this, so he listened very carefully. Ahem, okay, while there is still time, you should go back and prepare for the secret realm. Looking at Chenmu, who had been looking at him in front of him, Moben coughed slightly and spoke, his expression returning to calmness. He wondered if he had exaggerated. The black stone wand was indeed made by him, but there were 6 other people who also participated in the creation of this magic weapon. Good teacher. Chenmu said goodbye to Moben and left the laboratory. There is less than a month left until the official trip to the secret realm. The actual time to stay in the secret realm is 2 months. The time flow rate in the secret realm is different from that in the outside world. It is not faster, but slower. 2 months in the secret realm is actually equivalent to 4 months in reality, but practicing meditation in a secret realm for 2 months is roughly equivalent to 8 months of practicing in reality. 1 positive and 1 negative is almost twice the speed of meditation. This improvement is indeed a big improvement for those with excellent talents, but for Chenmu, this improvement is very small. After this trip to the secret realm, Chenmu passed the inspection period of the school. In other words, after this trip to the secret realm, Chenmu no longer has to stay in the school. Of course, in addition to the important thing in the secret realm that Chenmu must obtain, there is another thing that Chenmu needs to verify. That is how many simulation times will be accumulated in the secret realm in 2 months. If we follow the speed of time in the secret realm, then it is 2 times, but if we follow the speed of time outside the secret realm, that is, the wizard world, then 4 months is naturally 4 simulation times. This needs to be verified by Chenmu in reality. After all, he can't accumulate simulation times in the simulator. Instead of returning to the student apartment, Chenmu came to the library in the school. Moben didn't tell him the specific meaning of the secret realm, so Chenmu naturally had to read some books related to the secret realm here. In fact, before this, Chenmu had read a lot of books about the secret realm, so he was not particularly unfamiliar with the secret realm. The secret realm is actually some space fragments of different dimensions or planes that have been captured. Some worlds will turn into countless space fragments after being broken, and some of these fragments are even as large as a wizard continent. Of course, small fragments form some small secret realms, and the White Rose secret realm that Chenmu is going to this time is a small secret realm. Chenmu casually took a book. The Wizard of Cardito explores the secret realm from the bookshelf, then found a place to sit down and read it. Reading more books is always good. After all, he never knows when he will suddenly use the knowledge in the book. For a wizard, realm and witchcraft are undoubtedly the most important, and what comes after them is not magic weapons, not magic potions, but knowledge. Of course, this is the premise that the 2 wizards are at the same realm. Even if a first-level wizard has mastered more knowledge, he is still like an ant trying to shake a tree when facing a second-level wizard. Please read. Chapter 79, The Deputy Sect Leader and Entering the Secret Realm. Please read. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 79, Deputy Leader and Enter the Secret Realm. Please follow up. Time flies, and nearly a month has passed in the blink of an eye. The core area of the White Rose School is a huge circular stone platform. More than a dozen people of different ages stood on the stone platform. Normally ordinary students are not allowed to come to this place. But today is different because today is the day when the secret realm within the school is opened. Among the dozen or so people, several people's eyes moved in Chenmu's direction from time to time, with strange colors in their eyes. Chenmu's face was really too unfamiliar. They were sure that there was no such person in the school before. This person who appeared out of nowhere was actually able to participate in this trip to the secret realm. Well, I can only say that the background is very tough. Chenmu stood on the stone platform very calmly, with a calm expression. Chenmu could naturally guess some of what these people were thinking, but it had nothing to do with him and he didn't care. As long as these people don't offend him, Chenmu will not have any interactions with these people in the secret realm. Deputy Leader. Seeing a person suddenly appear on the stone platform, a dozen people immediately saluted. Chenmu naturally did not show any abnormality and saluted with these people. The deputy faction leader really appeared suddenly, as if he teleported here. Chenmu was sure that there was absolutely no shadow of the deputy sect leader here before. but he suddenly appeared on the stone platform like this. Is this a real wizard? His methods are indeed unimaginable. You should be all prepared for this trip to the secret realm, so I won't say more. The deputy faction leader's voice was very old, but when Chenmu looked up, he found that the deputy faction leader's face was surprisingly young. So young, Chenmu said to himself, he is really young. If you just look at the face of this deputy leader, you would even think that he is no more than 20 years old, it's just that the temperament exuding from his whole body looks very old. This is very contradictory, but it is definitely felt. This should be a way to maintain appearance, or it could be directly transformed into this young face. It is undoubtedly extremely easy for formal wizards to do this. Chenmu felt as if the deputy sect leader's eyes stayed on him for a moment, but when he turned his attention to the deputy leader, he found that the deputy leader was not looking at him at all. Chenmu thought he was overthinking, so he didn't think too much. Bang! The next moment, a wand suddenly appeared in the deputy leader's hand. The wand was held in the hand of the deputy sect leader, and then he hit the stone platform hard, making a loud sound. A virtual circular door suddenly appeared on the stone platform. This method shocked even Chenmu. He was very familiar with the sudden appearance of the magic wand in the deputy faction leader's hand just now. Isn't this the effect of the space magic weapon? Come on in, little ones. The deputy sect leader spoke. Everyone looked at each other, and then stepped into the secret realm one after another. Chenmu was no exception. Looking at Chenmu, who finally walked into the secret realm and then disappeared, a smile flashed in the eyes of deputy leader Neo. Spiritual eyes, interesting little guy. If Chenmu heard Neo talking to himself here, his expression would definitely change, because he never thought that a wizard could see through his spiritual see just by looking at him. Of course, if Chenmu is a real wizard and uses his spiritual eyes to see Neo, his expression also changed, because in Neo's spiritual see, among the many witchcraft structures, there was also an eye-shaped witchcraft structure. This witchcraft structure is familiar to Chenmu. It is the witchcraft structure of the spiritual eye. It's just that the witchcraft structure of Neo's spiritual see is much more complicated than him. Gray, white, these two colors constitute this secret realm of white roses. There were no other colors. When Chenmu came here, he thought he had arrived in a two-dimensional world. No sun, no wind, it's like deathly silence, and you can't feel the slightest breath of life here. Silence seems to be the main theme of this secret realm. Chenmu narrowed his eyes slightly. He was used to seeing the colorful world outside, but Chenmu was still a little unaccustomed to suddenly coming to this secret realm. Chenmu moved his body on the spot and found that there was nothing uncomfortable, just like outside. After looking around, he found that he was the only one in this area. As he moved forward, Chenmu still discovered some differences from reality. When he was just stuck in place, Chenmu didn't notice anything wrong, but when he really took steps, he found that walking in the secret realm seemed a bit heavy compared to the outside. This effect is extremely weak, and you won't even feel it at all if you don't experience it carefully. It's like walking with a person on your back. The effect of gravity. Chenmu had another guess in his mind. He didn't know if this effect was gravity. After all, some science from the previous life didn't seem to work in this world. Chenmu stopped, then squatted on the ground and held a handful of sand. The fine white sand flowed down through Chenmu's fingers in a very straight path, so it wasn't that Chenmu couldn't feel the wind, but that there really wasn't any wind here. It's like a frozen space here, because there is no sun, no wind, and even the sky looks like it was drawn with an ink pen. This will result in a result, that is, here. You can't feel the flow of time. It's okay in a short period of time, but once the time is extended, it is undoubtedly extremely difficult to judge how much time has passed, unless you have been counting in your mind when you come in, and then don't stop for a moment. Even so, there will be errors. However, Chenmu is not worried about this. He can still judge the time roughly. At least Chenmu can guarantee that the error between the time he judges and the actual time flow will not exceed 1 hour. After the white fine sand flowed through his fingers, Chenmu stood up and walked towards the center of the secret realm. In the White Rose secret realm, the only way to judge the direction is to look at the sky, because the sky is fixed and unchanging. It has been studied thoroughly for hundreds of years. Moreover, Chenmu has memorized the map of the secret realm, so it is still easy for him to judge the direction. The thing he wants is in the central area of this secret realm. Time passed, but Chenmu kept walking. Perhaps 2 hours had passed, or maybe 3 hours, and Chenmu stopped, looking up at the frozen sky, Chenmu compared it with the map of the secret place in his mind. This is it. After confirming that it was correct, Chenmu sat cross-legged on the spot. P.S. Thanks to Ping in the mountain, for 47257, and the monthly ticket in the pool. Thank you, love you. Please read on. Chapter 84 Simulations and a Third-Level Wizard Apprentice, seeking follow-up reading. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 84 Simulations and Level 3 Wizard Apprentice, please read later. Chenmu's eyes were somewhat surprised. He looked at the panel in front of him and focused on the simulation number column, number of simulations, 4.4 simulations. Just as he imagined, the number of simulations is superimposed according to the time flow rate of the main world. He can be sure that he has not stayed in this secret realm for 2 months, at most. It is a little more than a month. But now the number of simulations has been increased by 2 times, which is enough to explain everything. In this case, if I find a place where the time flow rate is more than 10 times that of the outside world, wouldn't it be possible to simulate more than 10 times a month? Chenmu said to himself, he was not sure if there was such a place in the world. If there was, it would undoubtedly be a treasure land for him. For simulations, that's almost it. Chenmu looked at the simulation number column and made a decision in his heart. The next moment, the light blue screen in front of Chenmu disappeared, and a string of black fonts appeared. Do you want to start the life simulation? Yes. Chenmu did not hesitate. The 4 simulations he had accumulated gave him a lot of confidence, and it was a good opportunity to start the simulation now. The main purpose of these 4 simulations must be to become a third-level wizard apprentice. The next moment, strings of black words began to emerge, and Chenmu became focused. 19 years old, you are familiar with the White Rose School and participated in the secret realm. You gained a lot in this secret realm and got a blood seed left by an ancient wizard. 20 years old, practicing meditation, starting to complete some tasks of the school, and becoming more and more proficient as Moben's assistant. Moben is very satisfied with you. 21 years old, in addition to daily experiments, you put all your time on practicing meditation. 22 years old, although the speed of practicing meditation is very slow, you are still steadily improving. 25 years old, continuously practicing meditation. Magic stones are used by you to buy potions to speed up the progress of practicing meditation. Over the years, you have been practicing meditation crazily. 27 years old, a small conflict broke out between the school and other wizard organizations. You reminded Moben in advance, so Moben did not die in this conflict. 32 years old, speed up the practice of meditation. You have spent all the magic stones. You start to accept tasks to earn some magic stones. You do everything to improve the speed of meditation. 35 years old, Moben gave you a few small experiments alone, and you completed them very well. 40 years old, continue to practice meditation. 43 years old, you came to a remote place to complete a long-term task. No one here disturbs you to practice meditation. 70 years old, you were recalled by the school. 74 years old, this time, a war broke out between the schools. You failed to survive and eventually died at the hands of the enemy wizard. The simulation is over. Please choose your reward. Keep the realm, or, keep the magic, keep the realm. Continue the simulation. Chenmu did not hesitate and immediately chose to keep the realm. The improvement this time was not small. Chenmu could feel that his spiritual sea had expanded again. Without feeling it carefully, Chenmu chose to start the next simulation. Now he still had 3 simulation opportunities. He didn't believe that he couldn't raise his realm to the 3rd-level wizard apprentice after 3 times. Simulation is over, please choose your reward. Retain realm, or, retain magic. Retain realm. Chenmu's face was a little solemn. He admitted that he underestimated the 3rd-level wizard apprentice, or he overestimated his talent. He deserved to be called a little wizard, and there were only 10 3rd-level wizard apprentices in the school in the past 100 years. Now he can be sure that his spiritual sea has reached the limit of the expansion of the 2nd-level wizard apprentice. He has used 3 of the 4 simulation times, and it can even be said that he had reached the limit. of the second-level wizard apprentice in the second simulation, but the third simulation that followed, a full 90 years, did not make him a third-level wizard apprentice. The scenery in front of Chenmu changed, and what appeared in front of him was his spiritual sea at this moment. The spiritual sea at this moment was twice as large as before, and it looked like a small lake. 6 witchcraft structures and space keys were suspended in the center of the spiritual sea. With a thought, he returned to reality. Chenmu let out a long breath. He felt that his palms were sweating at this moment. There was only one last simulation left. If he still couldn't become a third-level wizard apprentice in this simulation, he would have to leave the secret realm. If he became a third-level wizard apprentice here and was discovered outside, he could still explain it. If he became a third-level wizard apprentice outside or in the academy, he couldn't explain it. 19 years old, you are familiar with the White Rose School and participated in the secret realm trip. This time you gained a lot in the secret realm and got a blood seed left by an ancient wizard. 20 years old, practice meditation. 30 years old, continue to practice meditation. With the magic potion, you feel that you are very close to becoming a third-level wizard apprentice, just one step away. 35 years old, no more magic stones. You don't want to be distracted by completing the task, so you tell Moben your idea, and Moben is extremely surprised. After checking your body, he was very surprised. He couldn't believe that your talent could reach this level. You didn't explain too much, just said that it was because of the opportunity during the previous trip to the secret realm. Moben lent you a lot of magic stones so that you could practice meditation well, and reported this matter to the deputy sect master. 36 years old, the deputy sect master valued you very much and helped you prepare some things to assist in practicing meditation. He expected you to become the 11th bachelor of the school. 40 years old, with enough practice resources and the support of the school, you successfully became a true third-level wizard apprentice this year. You became the 11th bachelor of the school, named Crow Bachelor. 41 years old, your status in the school soared, and Moben was also very impressed by your growth. 50 years old, Moben successfully broke through the first-level wizard and became the second deputy sect master of the school. 55 years old, after becoming a bachelor, your work is quite busy. In addition to daily meditation practice, you will also practice witchcraft, study magic weapons, and occasionally teach classes or complete tasks of the school. 74 years old, because you discovered the clues that other wizard organizations wanted to take action in advance, you prevented this school war. 90 years old, practicing meditation, studying witchcraft, and studying magic weapons, your time is very full. 100 years old, you have 2 disciples with good talents. 117 years old, the school and other organizations broke out in war. As a bachelor of the school, you naturally could not be spared. You died in the hands of hostile wizards. The simulation is over, please choose your reward. Retain realm, or retain magic. Retain realm. Chenmu's eyes showed a hint of joy. It's done. Before, he didn't dare to tell Moben in the simulator. He practiced alone for fear of dying early. He chose to take a risk in the last simulation, but he didn't expect the school to be so powerful. The next moment, Chenmu's spiritual sea made a huge noise. The spiritual sea, which was originally just a small lake, instantly expanded several times and successfully became a large lake. This gap is too big. Chenmu was shocked. This improvement was greater than the previous 10 simulations combined. It can only be said that he is worthy of being a little wizard. Chenmu instinctively opened the attribute panel. He wanted to see how much the value of the ready-made spiritual power had improved. Name, Chenmu. Spirit, 8.1. Constitution, 6.8. Night Realm, Great Knight. Wizard Realm, Level 3 Wizard Apprentice. Breathing Method, Golden Lion Breathing Method, Perfect. Meditation Method, Black Tower Meditation Method, Mastery 242/1600. Night Skills. Witchcraft. Number of simulations, 0.8.1 Spiritual Power. This is too exaggerated. You should know that Chenmu's mental power was only 6.2 before, but now it has increased by nearly 2 points. This value is not calculated by addition. 2 points is equivalent to several times the mental power of a second-level wizard apprentice. Shenmue felt that the world was a little different in his eyes at this time. Zero-ring magic fireworks. Shenmue triggered a magic structure in the spiritual sea. And a firework instantly appeared in Shenmue's hand. Shenmue threw this firework. Boom! There was a huge explosion, and the fireball made a violent sound when it touched the surface of the white fine sand, and then the flame spread out. Shenmue's eyebrows moved. Is this still fireworks? Pyroblast! The power of this zero-ring magic has increased by more than 2 or 3 times compared to the second-level wizard apprentice. Shenmue feels that the power alone has increased by at least 5 times. It's completely not the same level as the second-level wizard apprentice. Shenmue sighed in his heart and put away his thoughts. He is already a third-level wizard apprentice, but he still has more important things to do. Please read on.